Welcome to Pizza Guy DIY. Join the party. Today I'm going to show you how to make a sausage, mushroom, and onion pizza with pre-made store-bought crust. I have no regrets about using the cardboard cutout pizza crusts because I keep them on hand so I can make a pizza on demand, right? My cupboards are full, my fridge is full. I keep crust, sauces, cheese, meats, peppers, onions, shrooms, garlic, spices, etc. I keep that in the cupboard, I keep that in the fridge, or I keep it in the freezer. I always want to have those things around so I can do what I want. And in this case, I wanted sausage and mushroom pizza, and I happen to have an onion. So I grabbed a pound of ground beef, I let it thaw that morning, and threw it in the frying pan, grabbed my 9x9 Pyrex casserole dish, wiped a little olive oil on the bottom, and smashed that whole pound of ground beef. And then I covered it in Italian seasoning. And then I flipped it. And I got the Maillard reaction. I wanted that sear on one side because that gives the meat a lot more flavor than it has on its own. I know it's a strange thing, but you can look it up. Maillard reaction. I think it's Maillard. Maillard. Whatever. It's a guy. It's a guy's name. So once I flipped it, all that seasoning kind of came off, and you can see it around the edges in the fat from the meat. So I grabbed the chopper and I chopped it up, and you can see the meat's a little pink, but I pulled it off right then and there. Got it on a cooling rack. You can see it at the bottom part of the screen. And I continued to chop that up a little more, but I really wanted big, coarse, chunky boys. And I wanted it to be slightly pink, kind of medium rare. That's more of a medium. But, yeah, I mean, I like my burgers medium also. And when you have a thick piece of meat, you can do that. With this, when you have little chunks of meat, the whole thing's going to become medium well once you bake it in the oven inside of this boiling cheese, right? Or molten lava cheese. Anyway, there's that. So I got the meat cooked, and then I have tomatoes out of the garden cooked. I cut them in half. I lay them face down or cut side down on the baking rack, and then I leave them in there until I get a little char on the top, and a lot of the liquid has boiled off and evaporated. And sometimes I have to crack the oven to let some of that moisture out, and you can see a cloud of steam come out, and then you close the oven again. And 10 more minutes, pull it open, and go through a couple of cycles. You can see some bell peppers in here, and then I took the chopper and I smooshed those guys together, and I scooped that up together, scooped it all up into a mason jar. And then I have that in the fridge, and this will make 2 or 3 pizzas. Depends on how big. If I'm making a little, 8-inch personal pan pizza or 8-inch cast iron pizza, it's going to use a lot less sauce than a 12 or 16-inch pizza. Anyway, I already talked a little bit about cheese. I always like to have, probably have 4 pounds of cheese in the fridge at all times. 2 pounds of mozzarella, 2 pounds of cheddar. Or a pound of pepper jack, just because I like to have cheese and crackers, and that's my go-to. Or I make my nachos on corn chips with pepper jack and a little bit of cheddar. So cheddar has flavor. Mozzarella, to me, is a very bland, boring, blasé cheese. Even adding salt doesn't make it that much more interesting. When you compare it against any kind of a flavorful cheese, and I'm not talking about massive flavor like blue cheese. I'm just talking about something like Gouda or Munster. There's another one that I really like. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, like I said, pepper jack on my corn chips or my nachos and some cheddar. Here, I've used the side of my cheese grater, your cheap $4 box cheese grater, and I've made chunks of mozzarella because I have a plan. And then I took this side and I am shredding my own cheese because nobody wants to use store-bought bagged cheese with an anti-caking agent. It's not baking soda, it's not baking powder, it's not flour, it's not sawdust. It's some, thing that they put into the cheese so that every sliver is coated with this material that keeps it from sticking to the other slivers of cheese. In this Ziploc bag, my cheese does form into a bit of a block, but it breaks up quite easily. I don't, pile things on top of it so that it gets crushed or smushed together. But anyway, I like to have some cheese on hand, and I always grate a full block of cheese now. I grate about 3/4 of my mozzarella, and I put in about 25% or a quarter pound of probably medium or sharp cheddar. It's whatever I have on hand. And sometimes I buy sharp cheddar because I do like to have cheese and crackers, and sometimes I like to have the sharp cheddar on my nachos with that pepper jack. So blah 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 blah. You do you. But I always keep some cheese on hand. I always keep some of those dry pizza crusts stored in the cupboard, and I always keep mushrooms in the cupboard because I don't always have fresh mushrooms that I bought at the store, and mushrooms go bad pretty quickly. They might last a week in the fridge. But anyway, here it is. The meat, you can still see, has a touch of pink to it, and then there's just canned shrooms. I thought about getting those shrooms in the skillet first and let them maybe gain a little color, but they're fine. And here is the cardboard cutout pizza crust that I'm talking about. They're all different brands. Walmart has their own brand, Great Value brand, and then the fancy store in town that's kind of like a Whole Foods has this, and they have their own store brand. I can't remember what it's called, Market Fresh or something like that. No, that's not it. First Choice, or I don't know what it is. It's like the generic version, but anyway, excuse me. Anyway, you'll notice this pizza sauce is really, really weird looking. It's orange, dude. It's not red. It's not as deep as normal. So what I did was I took some roasted tomatoes that you saw previously, and I put them into a bullet blender, and I blended them up, and it looked pretty good. But then I'm like, oh, you know what? I have this half an onion left in the fridge. Let's use it. So I threw that in there. Whoa, way too much onion. Very strong onion flavor to this pizza, but it wasn't bad. Like I said before, it's hard to make a bad pizza. But anyway, that's why it looks so orange, because the onion turned into sauce, mushed onion, and it changed the color of the red, deep red, roasted tomatoes from the oven. Bang, 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 bang. These guys. So, actually, you know what? It might also be because I had some yellow tomatoes in there. But whatever. Because I did taste the sauce, and I recognized, there's a whole lot of onion flavor here. Let's add a little dry Romano Parmesan and see if we can cheese this thing up and kind of reduce the potency of the onion that's in that particular sauce. So now here you can see that I use the chunky slivers of the mozzarella around the perimeter, because I thought I was going to create a dam and prevent anything from running off the crust. Then I sprinkled everything with granulated garlic, and I won't do that in the future because it will burn. Black pepper will also burn. So there was a little bit of I can't say burned garlic flavor here because I didn't cook it. I didn't overcook it. So I'm learning to, I'm learning to not use as many ingredients. But here I have a pizza just absolutely piled with sauce, meat, and mushrooms, and then covered with cheese. And my mozzarella dam around the inside proved to be ineffective and actually caused a landslide off one side of the pizza. So apparently our oven has a little bit of a tilt to it. And I threw it in the oven, walked away, and set the timer, and came back and checked on it. And here's what it looked like. So, looking at the pizza, what I did was I lifted up the top edge in this photo. I grabbed the pizza from the top and I lifted it up a little bit so that it made it easy to take this big old knife and just go around that edge at the bottom. And I went cut off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs, right? These guys. Chunk, 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 chunk. So I cut those off and set that pizza free. So you can see up here, you've got a jagged edge. Chunk, 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 chunk. That came off this upper corner. But in the end, it turned out perfect. Cut it up, shared it with my roommate, and we were both pretty happy. Very, very tasty pizza. Looks great, tasted great. What more do you want? Eventually, it was gone. I put a couple of slabs on these, Dixie wax-coated paper plates, and then I threw those in a 1-gallon Ziploc bag, and there were leftovers. Awesome, awesome pizza. And I just want to say that my name is Troy. Visit my website at troysweb.com. That Buy Me a Pizza button is really Buy Me a Coffee, Buy Me a Beer. It's the same button as the Buy Me a Coffee company. I should probably just change it to Buy Me a Coffee. Although I'm too hyper. I only drink 1 cup of coffee a day, or you're going to get 10 videos a day. No, not really. Anyway, a lot more stuff coming up. Hit that subscribe button, click the like button, and share this with your friends. That share button, a lot of people don't know what it does or how to use it. That little triangle pointer arrow thing, that's a paper airplane. It's not a compass. That's so you can send it. Like you can throw that paper airplane with a link to your friends. So you click the share button, it pops up a window, says, hey, here's a link. And then below that, it's, do you want to email, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or share it on whatever social media platform you like. Pretty cool. The share button is very useful. I've been sending dirt bike stuff to all my dirt bike buddies using that share button. Usually a text message, and that's pretty simple because then they'll watch it. They're like, holy cow, I can't believe that guy made that jump. Or that was an awful crash, man. You know, whatever I'm sharing. So it facilitates having conversations with your friends about the cool things that you've seen on the internet. So anyway, leave a positive comment and I'll keep coming back. And because without subscribers, without likes, without shares, and without comments, why bother? Catch you later.